Everyone can hear me? We go! Perfect. Hi guys, hi everyone. So today we are going to talk about the project Pitfalls inside Odoo. The idea of that talk came when we started initially. You know, we have a submission platform where we can say, okay, which consultant want to present which talk. I was working on a project since 2 weeks and I realized that some things were not going right. It's a project that is involving a client and a partner. I'm working on my side, as you can see here, as a partner service manager. So my role at Odoo is to help the partners achieving their goals, be better, receive a proper training, having smart classes. So I'm managing a team of consultants whose goal is to really help the partners in a broad way. When you have questions as a partner, most of the time you will ask them to the support or to us through a success pack. And I would say that 99% of what you will ask, we can do. The only thing that we don't do is installation on site because it means lots of different things and a lot of different skills that we don't always have. But for the rest, consulting, functional, technical, a bit of development through the DoD, training, as I said, helping for migration upgrades. We do all of that. If you have questions, you can use the pad over there. Don't hesitate to ask questions and we'll see the time that we have at the end of the talk to discuss that. So my talk will be mainly about one project in particular. That's where I gathered some ideas, seeing that every time I had discussion with the client and former partner, I was like, okay, this we need to talk about it because there are lots of things that can be improved in the communications that we as Odoo, we have with clients. And when I say we, I'm meaning the CST person. I don't know if you are clients or partners, or maybe a bit of both, but usually as a client, you are going to be in contact with at least one person at Odoo that is the customer success team person. He's taking care of knowing what you use Odoo for, what you will be doing later, what are your plans, what are you struggling with Odoo or in general with your company. So that's the key person that you go to. Usually they manage something like 100 contracts at a time for smaller contracts, and for the bigger ones they manage way fewer than that. So as a client, that's where you are going to go. As a partner as well, you can be in contact with a CST that is managing all of your contracts. Another person of contact for you is the PAM, Partner Account Manager, which is another person that is key to the communication with the partner network. Usually when clients or when partners have troubles, they contact one of those two people and then we enter in the room, we are going to help. That's the role of the consultant. That's what I am day in, day out. I'm a consultant at Odoo. And on that project in particular, I was asked to, at the beginning, do some audit of the code, but then we quickly saw that it was much more than that. So let's dive into the different signs that we're talking about. I'm saying signs. I'm pretty sure that you had on your side as partner or as client, sometimes the feeling that there's something odd, there is something wrong. And on my side, I wanted to cover a few that I saw almost, if not all the same, on the same project, at least a few that we need to talk about today. The first one is the selection of a partner. So as a client or as a prospect, there will be a moment where you are going to select a partner. And the same way that you are going to select someone for maybe renovating your house, you need to know who you are going to trust, because they will be the ones that are going to accompany you for a long time, helping you understanding your needs. I'm talking about renovation because I'm renovating my house at the moment, and what I do feel is that when I'm in contact with someone, I like to have someone that I trust. Of course, at the beginning, I'm going to not interview, but have received some quotes, ask where the person are located, what they do, their references. It should be the same with a partner. In my case here, I didn't understand that at the beginning, but the client that came to us was working with a partner that is not a partner. So we have a lot of people in the community that are not part of the partner network. There is a reason why, as Odoo, we sponsor a partner network and we show them on the website. We have 7.5K partners at the moment worldwide, which is massive. All sizes, small partners, learning partners, to bigger partners like Big Fours. And it's super key that you find the right partner, and obviously not someone that advertises himself as a partner, but that is not. So when you have a doubt, just contact us. It could be that the partner that you would select is very good, but maybe not the right for you. And the same thing goes on the other direction. I see lots of partners in my daily job that will select a first client that is maybe not the right size, not the right industry, or simply is not a perfect match for which the communication doesn't happen very, very well. So on our side, what we see is that when we start the conversation, it's more with new partners, this one. We see that there's a project, we need to fight, we need to get it, whatever the project it is. And sometimes that's also a recipe for a disaster. And partners or clients that have that feeling, in the selection process, they can contact us so that they can see with a consultant what is best. We can advise. We are in one of the few industries in the world, I think, where you have that kind of a network and you are superseding that network and people can ask for feeling. and that costs nothing. So you should, as a partner or as a client, always contact us for that, just to get a second feeling. Coming back to the other one, I think that is a bit odd that a client can contact a partner that is not a partner, but advertising itself as such, because it's already starting a communication and a project on a lie. It's weird. You are going to start something that is massive, it's an investment, you are going to impact your team and your profitability, and you start with a partner that is potentially a bit dodgy. So on the partner side, is the client good for me? Another thing that I see that is not done well or not often enough is the fact that you need to challenge your clients, and it goes also the other way around, challenging the partner. What I saw on that project is that the partner was saying yes, yes, yes to the client. And then when you analyze that and you see how it goes that the partner is saying always yes, that's also because you see that the way the partner is structured is 20% functional consultant and then 80% developers. Of course, if you have a look at different partners and you see that there's one with a lot of developers, what is going to sell you? He's going to sell you development, he's going to sell you services that he can provide. On our side, that's also one of the things that we want to do. Put the right partner with the right people. If clients have really huge pockets and are ready to pay for lots of development, we know who we are going to put you in touch with, and the opposite is true as well. When you start a project also as a partner, you need to not always say yes, yes, yes to the client, thinking that you are going to accept what he says and so he will be happy. On the long term, we know that it's not happening like that. You need to have the capacity to say no if the client is asking things that are, if not stupid, that are weird or that are going in a direction that is wrong. The client should be there to tell you what he wants as an end business goal, but not how to do it. And I think that's something that you should keep right there in your head. And I'm going to reuse one that we use a lot at Odoo. You can see that from the style of that graph that is a small old clip art thing. And that one is very important because it means that it has been existing in the world of ERP implementation for a long time. But the client, he doesn't want a car. He's going to tell you, I want a car. He doesn't want a car. What he needs is to go fast to work. The work of the partner is to challenge him to see if the car is a real good thing or if he needs to take a horse or a train or something different. And that is your goal. The client is not the one that will be in the driver's seat. You are as a partner. He will give you the end destination and you decide how you get there. And I see very often that the project that fails is usually because there's no guidance and no challenging on that side. That's really a place where we do a lot. If you hear Fabien talking about challenging, we tell you that we don't do development. I can tell you from my perspective as a consultant that it's not true. We do development, but what is really true is that we always challenge what we do for the client. And we are not in a position where we feel weak when we say no. It's the opposite. Going back to the renovation work, I really appreciated when the guy came to my house, I was asking what I wanted, and discussing a bit the technical aspect, he told me, no, don't do it that way. I am the pro here, I'm going to tell you what. I'm sure you can make those kind of parallel conversations in your head or with personal situations, and it's exactly the same here. You need to accept to be challenged and to challenge. Another one, it's not a no-go, this one, the self-hosting, but I see statistically that most of the time when things go wrong, it's also because there is kind of a lock-in of the client on a platform that is handled, managed by a partner that knows what he's doing, but in a very, very small perimeter about the hosting. But when I realize, talking with the guys at Odoo SH or the SaaS platform that we have, and honestly for the amount of people that we have at Odoo, it's 15 people. Can you imagine just 15 people for all the database that we have? And I'm always concerned when I see lots of self-hosting. I'm not saying it's a bad idea. Lots of big clients, they need self-hosting. There are data questions around that. There's maybe some speed because they want to be located closer to their offices. I'm not saying that it shouldn't happen. I'm saying that if it's self-hosting, you need to know who you are going with. And that's also a discussion that we can have with partners and with clients. Again, it's not a no-go. It's just like, okay, is it normal that I'm going self-hosting while Odoo can propose Odoo SH or a SaaS platform? In the case of that project, we successfully put the client back from GCP, so Google Cloud Platform, to Odoo SH for a cost that was 1/4 of the initial cost on Google Platform. Google is a very good platform. Odoo SH is built on top of Google, so it's not a problem of Google, it's just a problem of management of the platform and what you do with the configuration of the server. When you are new to that world, it's really, as I would say, an extra step to do the self-hosting. Start smaller, eventually self-hosting later. That is also one of the signs that I would like people to contact us to discuss that. Strange, this one, we are a suite of applications. You go on the SaaS, you see already all the applications. That's one of the first pictures that we have. And somehow, we have clients that use Odoo only for one app. That's okay. If they use it only one app, because that's the only one they need, that's fine. In my case, they were using lots of different applications on lots of different softwares. It's not going to tell you the name of the client, but it is a company that has 50 shops in a country, and they try to have a bit of dynamics, a bit of Odoo, a bit of another marketplace, a bit of a solution whose goal is to display goods in 3D, a few ERP that are local to some shops, and wanted to integrate everything and only use Odoo for the website. Of course, the value of Odoo, I'm not going to say that the website is not good. The website is good, but you have Odoo, you have Shopify, you have other players that are specialized in that. The value of Odoo is the integration with all the applications. If you just select Odoo for one app, that's maybe the beginning, but if you stop there, I guess that you won't have enough you won't have the value that you expect to get. We'll see with a graph that will explain a bit of that later, but together with that notion of one application, if you just use Odoo for one application that you need many more, you are going also to use other apps, other ERPs, other platforms even. So again, the same discussion on being on site on different services and then integrating. That is a lot of cost. That is a lot of discussion with different people. That is a lot of training on different platforms. That is a lot of, let's say, many months to get things done because it requires more time to integrate another platform with Odoo than just adding another application on Odoo. And of course, you can see me, I'm from Odoo, but I would say the same if I were from Microsoft or another system, another ERP. It's just the way that people want to bridge. It's technically possible. Yes, you can bridge different applications, but it has a huge, huge cost. And in my case, this is what it looked like. Second or third meeting that I had with a person was, hey, this is kind of what we have around the PIM. PIM is Product Information Management. First question I had is, why don't you do that in Odoo? What are the characteristics of that platform that make you have it at the center and not Odoo, for example, because we have also a Product Information Management. And the SPOC, so the project manager on the client side, was not so sure about what he had to tell me. There was Microsoft Dynamics on the shop side, different. I put random, I overrode that so that we don't see the names of it, but there were 3 different ERPs. There is a supplier portal that has never been developed. And if I see all the integrations, so it's French, but I can tell you what it is. It's the communication of products, price lists, and suppliers or customers for those that information. When I saw that, I asked him, okay, what of this is working? And it was not even half of that. And some platforms don't even work or are not even put in place. It's just a plan that they have, and to me it's wrong. And I'm already struggling on my side to be good, just on that part, just to be a good Odoo consultant. How come that the client that has also many other aspects that he needs to cover, how come that the SPOC is telling me, yeah, I will be able to manage all of that? It's a small team, like it's not, we are not talking about Walmart here, we are talking about a 50 shop in just one country, but a team of IT people that are just 3 persons behind that. So you can imagine the amount of work that is for those kind of guys. And it's in link with the notion of platforms, but what they did, for example, is not only you need to integrate platforms together, but sometimes it's a one-to-one-to-one connection. One-to-one-to-one connection while we have that application in Odoo. So you see how things are interlinked together. More platforms, one-to-one connections, integrations, more people, more training, and this one is crazy. Of course we have a POS. Of course we have a stock management. I can understand that in terms of project management, you have temporary connections because it takes time to put something in place. That I agree, but you cannot have that as a definite goal because what you do have is that you have expenses along the way for the licenses of the 2 softwares and also for the connections. Every time that you have a new upgrade of one of those softwares, you need to be sure, you need to test. It's taking a lot of time just to be sure that things are still working, just because sometimes you need to upgrade. On our side, you know that we ask you to upgrade every 3 to 4 years maximum. I can imagine that it is the same for other solutions, and that it has an impact, and that in the end, when you have as many solutions as here, what you do is that you never move forward because you always have some bug fix, you always have some migration, you always have some change of hosting. It's impossible to move fast when you have those kind of setup. So those kind of things we can discuss, we can help put in place things so that you get away from lots of platforms and we have an honest discussion. If you are not a good platform, let's go. It's better for you as a client to do something different. We even went so far with the client that was telling me, oh, should I use something else than Odoo? My point of view is that he shouldn't, but if he only plans to use that for an e-commerce, maybe it's not the right fit. We have to be honest about that. At the moment, it's going better, so we brought him back to Odoo SH. We are making some development to take the stock management, and we are growing inside the company, but it was not the initial goal. It was more like saving them and having a conversation about how they could get there. And all the errors that I have here, I cannot say errors, but all the risk, or all the decisions they made were, to me, things that I was not super at ease with. When you have different platforms, you will have meetings with the people of those platforms, functional consultant, project managers, and you end up having meetings with 10, 12 people. I was in a meeting with 8 people, 1 hour. On average, you don't talk that much. You listen mostly, which is sometimes good, but sometimes nothing gets decided in those meetings. It costs super, it costs a lot for the clients. It's expensive to have a meeting with 8 people that are billing their time. So it's also something that they need to take into consideration, because later they will say, oh yeah, but I implemented that software, it cost me that much, and just for one application. Of course, you had 50% of the time that was dedicated at making things work with other people that are not part of that platform. So you see how everything is connected over there. This one is also, if you have a look at our methodology, one of the key elements about being able to have every time in front of us. We can name that project manager, but we like the name Spock, nothing related to Star Trek. It is the single point of contact. When we have a Spock, at least there is some kind of responsibility. You can name it project director, project manager, Spock. We like Spock because it means that it needs to be the only person. If we need to face one, that's him. He needs to be able to make decisions, to report to his team, to implement change management, to make some kind of documentation. And here, it was not that I didn't have a Spock, it was more that I had someone that didn't have like the proper project management skills, and also his direction was moving all the time. I've been working with that team for 6 months, and we had 3 different interim project directors on top of them. So it's really time consuming as well. Usually, and you see it's a problem of people, and it's not a problem of software at all. It's just when you are working as a client with a partner, and that on your client side you have many people involved and no proper guidance and direction, no project governance, of course it's also a potential recipe for a failure. And what I mean when I say you should contact us, the partner, when he sees that at the client, what he can do is say, okay, but you see my opinion about that. I know that I have a foot in your project, so maybe you should talk to the editor or another partner. So sometimes you need just to have someone else that will back you up and say the same thing that you do, because maybe the client is saying, oh no, let me do my job, my business, I know it well. Sometimes they don't know what it is to implement an ERP project, and that's where we can come in and explain why the client or the partner should improve some of their aspects. We are there in the discussion with the client and the partner. Very classic, I won't be long on that one. The fact that you don't have any documentation. On my side, it was fun because the initial demand was to audit the code. We saw things in the code that we can understand. We read the code, we see, okay, that is what we are going to fetch from the product information management. But why do you do that? Why do you do that in the code? And nobody could answer us why they did things. And sometimes the documentation is not just about describing a process, it's just telling us why you made that decision, because it's impactful for the people to know what is the end goal. I don't need to know exactly what you did because I can see it in the code. I need to know why you did it, because then maybe I have a better solution. And it's also coming together with the notion of challenging and having an end goal and not the way to do things. So documentation here, I'm really a lover of the approach of Simon Sinek. Start with why. When you start with why, it's better you start engaging in conversations for what you did, but through the why you did it. And to me, I need to be convinced. I need to be convinced about what I'm doing, and I need to know why I'm doing it. And so usually when you start with why, even in the documentation, that's better. If you go and have a look at how we write specs, one of the things that we do, we try to convince our own colleagues that are the developers, just to tell them, we do it because the client needs it, because blah, blah, blah. And we say exactly what we want through the why, and we later describe how we see it as a potential way that the developer will develop. This one, I'm sure you have had that on your own project, not having priorities. I remember 2 weeks ago I was discussing about CSS manipulation on the website. It was key for them, or we have some issues with the CSS, with the font. Okay, I understand those are issues, but it was putting that at the same way, same level as the fact that some payment providers were not working accordingly and that you was having some drops in the orders on the website. So people were dropping. We had something like, I would say 80% of people that put their name, email address, information, but that don't purchase. Usually it should be way smaller than this. So sometimes clients, they focus on one thing and you need to make them open their eyes on, okay, but that's not the priority at the moment, we have better. And that we see a lot also in RFPs, a request for proposal or request for quotations. And that last week, I had another one for a prospect this time sending us a RFP, 400 items, and 95% of those items were critical. I see that, I'm like, okay, it's not proper project management. You cannot have everything that is critical. At the very least, if everything is really critical, it means that there are a lot of requirements that should come that are not critical and that should make the RFP bigger. So setting priorities, it's also something that we can help if there's a trust or issue or that you need an extra person that knows the industry, that knows that kind of project, that's where also we can step in. And finally, when the project goes to shit, that's one that I see a lot. The more you have issues, the more you will have people that explain the past rather than focusing on the future. And one thing that I like really much about my boss, Fabien, the CEO, is that every time that we have issues internally at Odoo, it's like, okay, but I don't care about who did it, what's the error. We need to find a solution for later, and that is great. You're not going to bill your client, or if you are the client, be billed just for explaining the past. Okay, sometimes you need to have some responsibility, you always do, but what's the cost of explaining the past while you need to focus on the future? Here we had issues with websites having not enough orders, we had issues with the GCP platform having deadlocks on the database, so very, very huge issues that were blocking the website. I don't want to spend time, let's say, having a look at the logs, trying to find why or who did what. We need to solve the situation before you can move forward. So those are a few aspects. I'm sure that as project managers you have more on your side. If you happen to have one of those and you feel there's something fishy, there's something wrong with my project as a client or as a partner, come to us, contact your sales representative. That is a CST person or a partner account manager. As a client you always have the CST, and as an account manager, as a partner, sorry, you have a partner account manager and a CST person. Contact us. Their job is free. They're going to analyze, they're going to help you understand what's going wrong with your project. And if a consultant, functional like me or technical like some other colleagues, are needed, we will step in the project. But first consultation or explaining your project and seeing if we can help even, that is free. Spend a few minutes. It is going to potentially bring massive gains on your project just because you talked, and you will have someone that will be like, we met that problem before and we have a solution for you. And if we don't have a solution directly, maybe we have someone that will find one by discussing with you or by spending a bit of time on your project. That's all my side. We have a Q&A session. I don't know the time that we have remaining. I don't know if we still have a bit of time. 5 minutes? Perfect. So if you have questions, I'm available. I know it's, I would say, theoretical, but it's a lot of things that you will meet on your project, I suppose. Yep. You do have questions? Yeah. Okay.
Questions. Check, check. Can you hear me?
Yes, very good.
Yeah. So I'll read the question from the Odoo pad. There is someone that asking, I see that Odoo claims to have a big international companies as references, such as Toyota and etc.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know if those companies use Odoo as a single ERP or being used together with other ERP?
Okay, it's a very good question. I think that we have had over the last years lots of different references. We had a reference book. We have maybe some blog references on the website. Toyota, I don't know. To my knowledge, I've never worked for them, but I can tell you that sometimes a few years ago we used to work for Danone. It was only, I think, in companies in the Middle East where, I'm going to be very honest on that one, where they didn't have enough money to purchase SIP licenses. They were using Odoo for the manufacturing side, and we were having some kind of import from SAP to Odoo and export from Odoo to SAP. And that we did, and it was effectively a reference because we had the name Danone among us. Maybe the same for Toyota, that I don't know, but usually the references for which we can talk about, they are part of a book where we explain what we do for those ones. If we don't explain it, it could be several things. Just the client doesn't want to be in touch with anyone, or it could be that it is true. We do very little in that company. One of the strengths of Odoo is that, I'm not talking about my project again, but I've seen that a lot in the past, is we start with a small entity and we grow. An example I have in mind is that we are part, We are being used by one of the biggest electricity supplier in Germany, in one of the lenders. And we started small with a project of 50 users. And as people like it and they see that the cost is not super high, we, I don't know how to say that in English, but we start to have other side projects, and then people say, okay, but that's cool, it's not super expensive. We have another application, and we grow inside the company. One of our biggest clients is the same, it's called Wavestone. They came here 3 or 4 years ago. Well, not here, but in Louvain-la-Neuve, where we used to host it. And we have lots of places where we grow inside the company. And so that's why maybe we have a big name, and we do not little, but a few things, but not as a full-fledged ERP.
Yeah, another one is, if we are already an Odoo customer, can we ask our sales representative to explain certain requirements free of charge?
Yes and no. So Odoo is, to me, getting to be very wide in terms of applications and very, very deep in terms of customization that is possible. I've been around Odoo, well, I've been working at Odoo for 13 years now, and at the beginning compared to now, I see it's massive, the kind of improvement that we made. Sometimes they are hidden, and I realized them. I had to prepare another demo for this afternoon, and watching Winand and Fabien showing me things that I didn't even know would exist for version 18, I was like, I didn't know that we would do that for this version. I'm glad by what we have. And so what I mean is that as a consultant, it's already hard to know everything about all the applications, and that's why we have experts that spend all their days on the same set of applications. We have accounting experts, logistic experts, MRP experts. But so when you have a client that says, I would like to talk to my CST to explain requirements or to have information, maybe the CST, the knowledge stops at the, I would say, basic demo level and understanding of what you need, but configuration or making a demo that goes really deep, that's not their job. They will need some people like, I would say, like us, good generalists or experts that we have at Odoo on one application.
Okay.
Yes. I hope I'm understanding the question right and that I'm
Yeah.
giving you an answer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe one more. So when you work directly with Odoo as your implementation partner, how do you best manage the feedback loop, such as client, business analyst, developer, without losing too much time?
Okay, what we do is that we have an internal feedback. At some moments you will see maybe some people forget that it is internal, but the email address has been public in the past. And so there's a place where we comment what we would like as a new feature. I can give you an example of things that I saw in the last version. Lots of clients that we have in direct were asking, I have a website, I would like that some products, people cannot buy them because there's no price, I need to have a conversation with them before. So we just ended up with a small feature that was saying, if the price is 0 on a product, we add a contact us button instead of an add to cart. And that is a result of not one feedback, but several feedbacks. With the amount of clients that we have and prospects, there's kind of a filter, and of course we are going to focus on the feedbacks that we receive many, many times. It's a mix of PO's opinions that need to be innovative enough to bring new features that nobody saw coming, and things that always lots of people are asking for. And we try to do the best with that. I have made a lot of feedbacks that have been refused for reasons that I sometimes feel are not correct, because you know when you have a feedback that's yours, you want really the thing to be coming in the next version. But that's how it is managed. We have only so much time available between one version and the other. In the end, we improve the software. It's not maybe always exactly what you want. Again, a lot of feedback are based on the how and not on the what's the end goal. But internally, contact your CST and consultant, because they are the one writing the feedbacks. And they had it several times. They will push for it because it's something that we can see the duplicates that we have in terms of feedback in our project, because we use Odoo Project Manager for that. We'll see a lot of things that are always the same. I can tell you about a lot that we created in the past, like the multi-reports on the emails. Lots of things on the spreadsheet that came now are coming from their website as well, like the ability to load Google Fonts, the ability to upload your own fonts. Lots of things are coming from the feedbacks. And Fabien, our boss, is very, very sensitive to that. He likes to have a look at the feedbacks. If he thinks that it makes sense, functionally speaking, he's going to think about that. And if he receives massive feedback in the same direction, usually I think that we are not bad at reading those feedbacks and saying, okay, lots of people are asking for that. That's what we need to do.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Antoine.
Okay, perfect. If other questions, we are at the all 7 at the very end there with all the consultants. We're glad to welcome you there. Thanks.